environmental issues, whether it is climate change, biodiversity, needs to be covered not just as an event, but importantly as a process. And when you cover it as a process, what happens? You look at the background. You analyze the causes and consequences of what has happened. You look at institutional failures, service delivery failures. So what do? You lay bare before the policy makers the failure of governance. And that is what. And that is what the role of media is really all about. The other challenge before the media is that media has to engage and empower the vernacular press. You know, the Indian languages. Many times environmental issues are coming mostly in English newspapers. But the vernacular press has to be engaged and empowered, because the vernacular press has the capacity to rope in the youth. It is the youth who have to be made aware. It is the youth who will make changes in their lifestyles and therefore bring in sustainable consumption standards. The youth is very important. It is very important that we look at the vernacular press. The other challenge that media would like to do, that media has to do. Okay, what do we do as DD News? You know, I am part of DD News. I am the director of news of Doordarshan. Why are we not covering environment issues? We are a public media. We are a national public broadcaster. Prasar Bharati has given us complete functional autonomy to both Doordarshan News and AIR, which means we can do whatever we want to do. If I want to put tomorrow environment news as a front page story, I can do it. Nobody stops me. But why do I not do it? Even financially, DD News and AIR generate a huge revenue for themselves, which means they are not completely dependent on the government, and yet they do not do it. That means they are also caught up in the same syndrome that I have just described for the private media. But I also want to tell you that DD News is an official channel. It's a government channel. As an official channel, we have some sort of a responsibility to put the government's point of view very strongly. But having said that, I also say that we will put the government point of view strongly, but we will also accommodate other points of view. In other words, our story will be such that it will be balanced. It will not be a lopsided story. The government viewpoint will get prominence, but the other viewpoint is also needed. In other words, what I would like to say is that balance and accuracy are our strong points. I am currently the head of the news in DG Goa. I have just started news on the 10th of March 2012. It's a new news channel, and I earlier said that Goa is a progressive state, but Goa did not have DD News despite 25 years of statehood. I think Goa was the only state that did not have a DD News bulletin in its own language. Now that we have a news bulletin, we have 15 minutes air time at my disposal, and I am committed to giving environment news the importance that it should be given. I am also committed to cover environment as an event and not just as a process and not just as an event, because I'm quite sure that environment governance is the imperative need of Goa today.
Thank you. That you brought in very fundamental issues and plus your own insights into the Goan case. Now may I request Mr. Bagle, Mr. Avit Bagle, senior journalist at Daily Gomantak. Gomantak is one of the oldest papers in Goa and done a great job in the early years. I know of 25 years back. That's what they have done and some of the revelations they brought out. I'm glad that you are here.
Myself, I am Avit Bagle. For the last 20 years, I am a journalist. Till 2004, I cover the environmental, defense and everything across the length and breadth of this country. From 2004, I am based in Goa. So my focus will be the Goa and the journalism, especially the environment journalism. I came down in journalism in 1993. My passion was environment journalism because of one editor of Navaprabha, Suresh Walve. When I was in school, I used to write from Navaprabha. I was sending the post from Berne. At that time, sand mining was a huge issue in Pedne Taluka during 1990 and 93. But no politician has taken any cognizance of it, and no policy decision has been taken at that time. When I entered into journalism, there was no one to guide me on environmental issues, how to cover, what to cover, where to cover. And it is a sorry state of affairs, I tell you, in Goan media, till today, I am talking about till afternoon, there is no separate reporter in each paper for environmental issues. One reporter covers everything. There is no separate reporting beat as such for environment, except one Paul Fernandez, who is doing for Times of India, although he is assistant editor. He is not supposed to report it, but he is doing it. And in Goa, the prominence has been given for political reporting. Whatever the minister says, or whatever the government comes out with a policy, it got a prominence. As I mentioned, besides me, one Dr. Nanukar Kamal is there. Their student had came out with one report on sand mining on Tereko River. 94. I covered that issue widely. Despite it was covered for a week long, there was not a single word from a person who represents that constituency. Not a single word. You can imagine when we are saying media should be responsible, media should bring out the pressure, but whether there is anything from the policymakers side, they are like deep and dumb. They are not looking at us. Until today they are not looking at us. Whatever we write, we just forget it. I had been to Dehradun. My friend is there, Raju named Bhaguna, and to take me Thapliya. You mentioned about the Chipko Andolan. When I was there, I came to know that when Chandi Prasad got started it first, then it was Bhaguna who took it. You mentioned about the tsunami. I covered a tsunami for 45 days in 2004 and 2005. So, one point I also raised that why environment issues are not widely covered or not given prominence. I'll tell you, till 10 years back or moreover 12 years back, journalists' wants were limited. Business houses who had invested into, they also not needed a returns on it. After this whole economy has been open after 1991, the media is also become an industry. To print that 12 pages of newspaper, the cost is 14 rupees. If we want no advertisement, we have to sell the paper for 14 rupees. Who will buy it? We have to give it 3 rupees in Goa. So we have to very much depend on the advertisement. Because of that, you have to take into consideration these factors. Secondly, those investors who had invested, they want also returns. So obviously this market gimmicks also entered into media. Coming down to Goa, if you see the newspaper in earlier days, they had started either by the business houses or the mines owner. So obviously that environment issue was not widely covered. I represent Gomantak. Now it is under Sakal management, that's why I can speak here. about the environmental issue. Yeah, earlier it was a smart one. Now so many other papers are also coming into Goa. But working in Goa, no, there is a much more hurdle. I tell you, there is no data available with the government machinery about the environment. There is no accurate data about the rainfall. There is no accurate data about the wind and river also. River Princess grounded at off coast of Sigel. There was no study conducted by government of Goa for years. What is the impact on it? Goa government has lost 1,000 square meter of land because of River Princess. We came to know after it was answered in the assembly after 10 years. So this is a fate of environmental journalism in Goa because there is no separate person to do this. There is no separate person to cover it for environment. He is the one person. No, in journalism.
The department, somebody to provide the information.
Yeah.
Anybody?
No, nobody.
Not in the newspaper, in the department.
Not in nobody.
We
Nobody.
made that recommendation.
Yeah.
Should have filed in RTI.
Yeah.
RTI should have been filed.
There is no data available. And Goan journalists, no, they don't find time to go on the field because they are busy with so many other assignments also. They are not dedicated to environment. If there is a one person for environment, he can go on the field and he can do the story. But he has to do with the 2-3 press conferences, all this, going to Kepe, Sanjay, Satari and all this and coming down. It will take one day because there are roads are so narrow or transportation system is so big. So that is one problem. We got National Institute of Oceanography in Goa, then Antarctic Study Center at Vasco, but no journalist except me, I think, enters that gate. I only publish the research paper. My editor asked me, who reads it? Why you are filing stories? But as a patient, I file for last 10 years. So many stories from NIMO. This is how we work in Goa. We have to find a way.
Have you ever tried to find out who reads and who are readers? Have you ever tried?
Yeah. Because once that online edition was started, no, there are comments, but those are from abroad. While online edition, we got a comment. Because I don't know no print who will read it. This is how, and we have to look forward and we have to find our own way. That's all I want to say.
Oh, excellent. I think you're very frank.
Yeah,
right?
very frank.
And I think
Glad.
I'm very glad you started with the sand story.
Yeah.
You're very frank. I think this is exactly what we are expecting from this round table. And then the next round, when you come back, one more, you should talk about what specific steps are taken. For example, the department, the oceanography and all of that.
Yeah.
They should start a website.
No, not website.
No, not that website. With the data exclusively meant for journalists.
No,
Like updating. See, journalists need an updated data.
No,
Are they?
not updated data also, but what the information they give when we ask, it is too scientific language.
Yes, that's what it is.
So we are not trained to do.
Layman's
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
So,
That we are lacking.
yeah, we have Dr. Namat now, Dr. Nand Kumar Namat, who is the faculty department of botany. Immediately following Badwe, Dr. Namat is the right person to respond to some of the issues raised by Badwe.
No, we have spent a lot of time discussing things which have already been discussed. Question is, what is our vision of the future? I have taught ecology, advanced ecology, environmental economics, natural resource management, biodiversity conservation, made policies, public policies for state government, did lab and field-based research, toured nook and corner of Goa, all islands, all ecosystems, most of the habitats, except a few islands. Read almost every important book in English and Marathi, Hindi, published during the last 49 years of my extensive reading. I have got some visions now, and as far as my state is concerned, we are digging our own grave. The reason is very simple. It's very difficult to make people who are pursuing material goals. The need of the hour for biodiversity journalist or environmental journalist is basically to rediscover the lost connection between our traditional eco-spirituality and our present blind material pursuit. I feel like laughing when in big seminars, workshops, international, national, we get experts talk about saving the planet. Who are we to save the planet? The planet has been existing here since last 4.6 billion years. And we are here, our evolution for more than just about 7 million years as primates and as Homo sapiens. Our cultural evolution is just around 10 to 12,000 years. And our technological civilization not even 400 years old. So basically when we talk with a certain degree of arrogance, and that arrogance is destroying the nature. Whether you are followers of shallow ecology or deep ecology, whether you read Tagore, Khalil Gibran, Mahatma Gandhi, or Fritjof Capra, or Edward Wilson, or anyone from science side or religious side or spiritual side, the question ultimately boils down to this. At this very moment, what we are doing in our immediate neighborhood, and how do we connect that neighborhood on a small scale to larger and larger sets of habitats, communities, ecosystems. For Goa, as far as I am concerned, on one side we have the threat of rising sea level, because what has come from the sea will go back to the sea. 25% of the land of Goa has emerged from the sea due to tectonic and other factors causing translation of the sea. The entire coastline of Goa, which is linear, right from Pelnem to Betul, is going to go back to the sea. Whether it will go within 50 years or 100 years is not a question, but I have been making this point in different fora, including journalist fora. We conducted a biodiversity workshop, first ever, in university under UTC's program. Whole day we were discussing all these future scenarios. The point is this: it's not a question of writing or sensitization. The basically individual level, family level, community level, panchayat ward level, local authority level, actions are missing. Actions are suspended because people look at the government for provision of funds. Actions are suspended, not due to lack of motivation, but because of lack of spiritual connection. So I believe that for biodiversity or environmental journalists, because in the future, just as India has now an army of monospecific journalists who constantly write only on Ganges dolphin or Project Tiger, and they don't see any other issue. In the future, I see that everywhere, including state of Goa, there will be monospecific journalists only pursuing conservation of frogs as an issue, conservation of turtles as an issue, conservation of tigers as an issue, and at the cost of neglecting whole ecosystems and the gene pools. The first and the biggest threat that I see in future for India as well as whole of Southeast Asia as well as all the countries which have reached biodiversity is ecological simplification. Now this simplification is like uprooting a diverse, species diverse habitat or community and planting it with monoculture or just a Mexican lawn. Ecological simplification will be followed by cultural and economic simplification, that is depriving people of their traditional skills, traditional knowledge, everything. And that the process of globalization has ushered in various monopolies in technology, in our lifestyles, the way we talk, the way we dress, the way we discuss, everything. So this simplification is now affecting along with massive wave of urbanization, and it is going to heavily impact the east and west coast of India. West coast more because west coast urbanization has become, practically speaking, absolutely unsustainable, and even billions and billions of dollars and crores of rupees are not going to save these the negative externalities which have been created by these type of models of development. As far as Goa is concerned, on 3 occasions the capital cities of Goa were destroyed because there was ecological crisis followed by biodiversity crisis. People were cutting hill slopes, denuding the forest, siltation was taking place in the rivers, so capitals had to be constantly shifted from one place to other.